Few individuals have influenced the development of this great country like Cordell Hull. Hull, a Tennessean who came to Kentucky to enter Western's predecessor, the Southern Normal School, in 1886, was instrumental in developing the United States policies during 2 world wars and the Great Depression. Cordell Hull entered the Normal School at age 15 and paid his own way, at that time $175, which included all his expenses for 10 months of study. Just about the same today. He served in honorable positions in the Tennessee State Legislature, the United States Congress, and as an international diplomat. President Franklin Roosevelt called Hull the father of the United Nations. The lasting tributes to his efforts are still felt today in every corner of the world. And as a special note, tomorrow would be Cordell Hull's birthday. In Byrdstown, Tennessee, his birthplace, there's a museum there that's being enhanced and a celebration going on there. We have with us, and I'm going to ask her to stand if she'll do so, his niece, Catherine Hull Etheridge, from Corpus Christi, Texas, who lived with him in the District of Columbia and cared for him until his death. And we're delighted to have you with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Cordell Hull.
His life began in a small log cabin near Byrdstown, Tennessee. But Cordell Hull spent much of his life traveling the world as America's chief diplomat. Education was important to the middle brother among 5, and that led to his attendance in 1886 to the Bowling Green Normal School. A degree from Cumberland School of Law in hand, Hull began his political career in 1892, serving 2 terms in the Tennessee State Legislature. His life in Washington began 14 years later when he was elected to the U.S. Congress and later to the U.S. Senate. But Hull's impact on the nation was felt most after newly elected President Franklin Roosevelt appointed the popular Hull to the Secretary of State post in 1932. Hull faced numerous challenges in his new position, but his reputation and a sense of genuineness quickly helped him establish an international rapport with his peers. The feeling that Hull seemed to command special respect was felt by those close to him as well.
He believed in doing the right thing. You know, there are a lot of people that can do things right, but there are not a lot of people that really believe in doing the right thing, and I think he was one of those people.
During his tenure as Secretary of State, Hull conducted negotiations with Latin American nations, which led to new trade agreements in the 1920s and 30s. The Tennessean, known for the hats he wore, spent much of his time dealing with Japan, trying to prevent Japanese aggression in the Pacific during the late 1930s and early 1940s. During World War II, Hull began drawing up the United Nations Declaration, and in 1943 presented the Charter of the United Nations, and was later referred to as the Father of the UN by President Roosevelt. Hull was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1945 after resigning from his Secretary of State position 1 year earlier. His beginnings may have been from a remote Tennessee ridge, but his accomplishments were truly worldly. 1993 Hall of Distinguished Alumni honoree, Cordell Hull.
My sister Janet, who is here with me this evening, and I spent many years of our childhood in the home of our grandfather, J.R. Hull, and you couldn't be around our house very long without Grandpa mentioning his favorite nephew, Cord. I remember some very funny stories, one being that they were once going for a train ride, and Grandpa mentioned as they passed the farm of a neighbor that Mr. Tompkins has finished shearing his sheep. Cordell thought for a few minutes and then said, Well, Uncle Bud, at least he's finished shearing the side we can see. My grandfather truly believed that Cordell Hull was the most honest, the most honorable, and probably the most brilliant negotiator in the world. And I believe he possessed a simplicity that only truly great people can afford. It is with sincere pleasure that I accept this award on behalf of Catherine and the rest of my family. Catherine is most deserving of this, and I share this with her, and you can rest assured that come tomorrow, it will be placed in the Cordell Hull Museum at Byrdstown. I hope each of you will sometime find the time to visit the birthplace and museum. We truly, truly appreciate this award more than I can tell you. And I would like to introduce the rest of my family. My sister Janet Williams, my daughter Paula Hackett, and my granddaughter Rachel, another generation of Hulls, and our very good friend Doug Brown. Thank you. Also, I would like to have Dr. Meredith come forward at this time. This was not an easy task. These books are 45 years old, and the Elder Bookstore in Nashville did a nationwide search for me. But as a token of our appreciation to Western Kentucky, I would like to present to Dr. Meredith and the school a copy of the Cordell Hull memoirs, published in 1948. Thank you.
Thank you so much. They'll be a wonderful addition in our Kentucky library.